Welcome to our tutorial on getting started with machine translation. Smartling provides a reliable, flexible, and innovative framework for translation with neural machine translation engines and large language models. This video will provide an overview of how machine translation can be configured and used in Smartling. As a centralized translation hub, Smartling allows you to seamlessly embed machine translation into your existing localization processes while combining it with your linguistic assets, such as your glossary and translation memory. Machine translation can be used for all your translation needs in Smartling, whether you would like to use it as a standalone solution or combine it with human post-editing. Our AI-powered translation platform enhances the quality of the translation output at every step. For example, with automated post-processing of HTML tags and white spaces, or with the ability to automatically select the best provider for your translations. Your content will be processed in a safe and secure environment which inherits all the security and compliance properties from our platform. All of our agreements with third-party MT engines do not allow those engines to store, retain, and use your data for engine training during the translation process. Before getting started with using machine translation in Smartling, we would recommend getting in touch with your customer success manager. Our team is happy to advise you on the best translation option for your business, as well as our pricing plans. To get started with machine translation, you will need to follow 3 steps. First, you need to set up an MT profile. This is where you can select your preferred machine translation provider and then customize the translation settings to your preferences. You can choose your preferred machine translation engine or large language model, use Smartling Auto-Select, or even trained MT engines. You can then customize the MT profile by integrating your linguistic assets or setting up custom rules. This helps ensure that the translation output will adhere to your brand terminology and preferences. The MT profile can then be mapped to the exact integrations that you would like to use machine translations for. For example, you can use the profile in a machine translation workflow, either on its own as a standalone translation solution, or in combination with human post-editing. Machine translation can also be used in other ways, for example, to assist human translators in the CAT tool, to provide ad hoc translations in our Smartling Translate portal, or to instantly translate your website with Smartling's global delivery network. You can either use the same MT profile for each of these applications, or create different profiles for all of your various translation needs. As an alternative to manually creating and customizing a machine translation profile, you can opt for AI-powered human translation. This all-in-one workflow solution offered by Smartling Language Services comes already pre-configured to combine human-level quality with great time and cost savings. Instead of relying only on machine translation, this workflow harnesses the power of AI to generate the best possible first translation. Not only is your translation memory leveraged, but the available matches are also automatically repaired, which means that the pre-existing translations from your TM are optimized and adapted to the new source text. If no translation memory match is available, our quality evaluation tool intelligently selects the highest quality MT engine for your content. Automated post-processing ensures the correct insertion of tags, white spaces, and glossary terms, and helps optimize the fluency and accuracy of the translation output. The translations are then reviewed by our expert human linguists to ensure a high-quality output that is in line with your preferred style and terminology. An optional quality audit can be integrated into the workflow, which allows you to closely monitor the translation quality. All of this is available out of the box without the need to manually configure any MT profiles or workflows on your end. For more information about AI-powered human translation, please reach out to your customer success manager. For now, let's take a closer look at the steps you will need to follow to manually configure machine translation in Smartling. As a first step, you need to set up a new machine translation profile or use the pre-configured Smartling Auto-Select profile. An MT profile is effectively a bundle of settings where you can choose your preferred provider and then customize the translation settings to your preferences. To create a new MT profile, you need to have an account owner user role in Smartling. From your account settings, please access the machine translation settings. Then navigate to the Profiles tab. This is where you can manage all of your existing MT profiles or create a new one. Of course, it is possible to create multiple profiles for your various translation needs. The profile which is available by default is Smartling Auto-Select. This is Smartling's proprietary MT profile. It intelligently evaluates your content on a multitude of criteria and automatically routes it to the best suited machine translation engine for each target locale. Smartling Auto-Select continuously evolves, so your content will always be routed to the best-in-class provider. If you prefer opting for a specific machine translation engine or large language model, you can set up a new MT profile for the provider of your choice. Simply click Create MT Profile and select your preferred provider. Smartling supports a wide range of machine translation engines as well as large language models. Setting up a profile for the provider of your choice requires you to bring your own API key, which needs to be purchased directly from your preferred provider. Please bear in mind that there may be some limitations regarding the number of words, characters, or tokens that can be processed. Depending on the selected provider, you may be asked to fill in some additional information before the profile can be saved. Once you have entered your API key and all required details, we would recommend testing the integration to see if it has been set up correctly. In case of any issues, an error message will appear, so any incorrect or missing information can be corrected before you begin using this MT profile. Once you have ensured that the MT profile has been set up correctly, please click Save. Your new MT profile has now been created and can be customized further before it is used for translation. For large language models like GPT, you will also need to enter a translation prompt. A translation prompt instructs the large language model to translate your content from the source language into the target language. Unlike traditional MT engines, large language models allow you to influence the translation output by adding instructions regarding your preferences to the translation prompt and by specifying additional parameters. For example, you can add details regarding the tone that should be used for the translations. For further customization, Smartling also offers MT engine training. This means that your glossary and translation memory are analyzed and optimized before they are then fed into an MT engine to train it. This helps achieve a translation output which is less generic and more tailored to your specific business and industry. Please feel free to reach out to your customer success manager to learn more about Smartling's offering for MT engine training. Once an MT profile has been created, it can be customized to take into account your translation preferences. Smartling allows you to use your linguistic assets with machine translation, such as your glossary, your style guide, or your translation memory, to ensure that the translation output is in line with your preferred terminology and style. Let's take a look at some of the available customization options. We would recommend consulting our Help Center and reaching out to your customer success manager for full details on all available features. As a list of terms that are important to your brand and business, your glossary is an essential tool to communicate your translation preferences. Smartling allows you to automatically insert glossary terms in machine translations to ensure that they are compliant with your preferred terminology and brand names. This means that if your source text contains a glossary term, instead of simply using a generic machine translation, it will be replaced with your preferred translation for that glossary term. Similarly, any terms that are marked as "do not translate" in your glossary will remain untranslated in the machine translated text. Before integrating your glossary with an MT profile, it is important to optimize it for use in machine translations. Unlike human linguists, machine translation engines cannot distinguish which glossary terms should be used in a particular context only. This is why certain glossary entries, like duplicates, plural forms, or longer phrases, should be removed to avoid any mistranslations with MT. To optimize your glossary for machine translation, simply navigate to the linguistic assets and access your glossaries. Here you can optimize your glossary for MT at the click of a button, without any manual effort. Please choose all glossaries that should be taken into consideration for machine translations. All of the selected glossaries will automatically be combined into a single new glossary. Once you click Confirm, a new MT optimized glossary will be created. It contains all terms from the selected glossaries, with the exception of those terms that are not suitable for use in machine translation. All other existing glossaries remain unchanged and can still be used for human translation and human post-editing. Once an MT optimized glossary has been created, it is locked and cannot be edited. This is to ensure that it remains compatible with our glossary term insertion feature. The MT optimized glossary is automatically kept in sync with the source glossaries that were used to create it. So whenever you make a change to the source glossaries, like adding, editing, or removing entries, the MT optimized glossary will be updated automatically. Once the MT-optimized glossary is ready, it can now be integrated with your MT profile. From the machine translation settings, please navigate to the Profiles tab. You can now enable glossary term insertion. Please select the MT-optimized glossary and click Save. When glossary terms appear in the source text, they will now be translated according to your preferences when this MT profile is used. Some target languages may distinguish between a formal and informal tone when addressing the reader. So, depending on how you would like to address your audience, you may want to instruct your machine translation provider to use a formal or informal style. Certain machine translation providers allow you to specify the desired level of formality for the translation output. We would recommend checking our Help Center for more information about the supported providers and languages. Provided that your MT profile uses one of the supported providers, it will automatically recognize the level of formality specified in your Smartling style guide. To make use of this option, your style guide needs to be created with the Smartling template. Under Language Conventions, please specify if the subject should be formal or informal. Your machine translation workflows or MT suggestions in the CAT tool will then adhere to the preferred level of formality. Additionally, to cover situations where your style guide cannot be used, we would recommend defining the preferred level of formality also directly in the MT profile for the supported providers. The level of formality specified here will be taken into account if there is no Smartling style guide available for one of your target languages, or if the MT profile is used for an integration that doesn't require a workflow, such as Smartling Translate. As an alternative to using a traditional MT engine and specifying the desired level of formality, you may want to opt for a large language model like GPT to maintain even greater control over the translation style. Large language models allow you to tweak the tone of your translations by adding specific instructions regarding the desired style and formality to your translation prompt. The right translation prompt can help achieve a translation output that is well suited to your audience and communication style. As one of your most important linguistic assets, your translation memory stores the translations saved by linguists so they can easily be reused. To help achieve a higher level of consistency with previous translations, Smartling allows you to leverage your translation memory also for machine translation workflows. If the same or a very similar source string has already been translated before, and the translation has been saved to your translation memory, this existing translation from your TM can be used instead of a machine translation. The TM match is inserted and submitted automatically to the next step in the workflow, so the string does not need to be processed by the machine translation engine at all. To learn more about this setting, please visit our Help Center or reach out to your Customer Success Manager. Machine translation is generally provided on a language level and does not take into account any locale-specific or regional conventions. For example, if machine translation is used to translate into French, punctuation conventions which are specific to Canadian French are generally not observed. To ensure that machine translations are targeted towards the actual markets that you would like to address, the Smartling team can define custom rules for your MT profile. For example, the white spaces around punctuation marks can be adjusted to your target market. Once a custom rule has been set up, it is automatically applied to all machine translations for a given locale. If you would like to learn more or set up any predefined rules, please contact your Customer Success Manager. Once your MT profile has been created and customized, it can now be applied for translation. Machine translation can be used in a variety of ways to cover all your translation needs. For example, it can assist human translators in the CAT tool to help them work more efficiently. Machine translation can be used as part of a workflow, either on its own or in combination with human editing. For ad hoc translations, Smartling Translate provides an easy-to-use portal that does not require any projects, jobs, or workflows being set up. With certain integrations, machine translations can even be displayed without the need to upload the content to Smartling first. You can either set up a different MT profile for each of these use cases, or map the same profile to multiple workflows or integrations. Let's take a closer look at some of the ways in which machine translations can be used in Smartling. Machine translation can be used to support human translators and to help them work more efficiently. In the CAT tool, which is the translation interface for human translators, machine translations can be displayed in the Language Resources panel. Linguists have the option to insert these suggestions as a first base translation. Of course, the machine translation can be edited by the linguist before the final translation is saved and submitted. To choose which MT profile should be used for machine translation suggestions in the CAT tool, please access the Machine Translation Settings and navigate to the CAT tool tab. Ensure that machine translation for the CAT tool is enabled, and then select your preferred MT profile. Instead of opting for human translation, you can use a machine translation workflow to translate any content in the Smartling Translation Management System with your preferred MT profile. Machine translation can be used on its own or in combination with human editing or other workflow steps. Your new Smartling account already comes with a pre-configured machine translation workflow, so you are ready to translate from day one with the built-in Smartling Auto-Select profile. If you would like to use a different MT profile instead, for example, to use a particular MT provider of your choice, you can set up a customized machine translation workflow. To do so, simply create a new workflow and select if you would like to use it on an account level or only on a project level. Please enter a name for the new workflow, select the content type and language pairs, and choose the workflow template Translation. By default, new workflows are set up for human translation, So to convert this to a machine translation workflow, you will need to edit the translation step of this newly created workflow. Under Translation Provider, please select your preferred MT profile. Since machine translation workflows rely on external machine translation engines or large language models, there is a slight possibility of outages or some of your content not being processed correctly by the chosen provider. This is why Smartling allows you to specify alternate machine translation profiles as well as a fallback method for added reliability. If your preferred MT provider returns an error, the content will automatically be sent to the alternate MT profile instead. If you are using Smartling AutoSelect as your preferred MT profile, your workflow already comes pre-configured with an alternate MT profile. So if, for any reason, the MT engine chosen by Smartling AutoSelect cannot provide a quality translation, the content will automatically be routed to the next best suited engine. Similarly, specifying a fallback method allows you to automatically move the content to a different workflow step if your preferred MT provider returns an error. For example, any problematic strings could be sent to a human translation workflow instead. Once you have entered all relevant information, we would recommend testing the MT profile. Should there be any issues with the API key or the profile setup, you will see an error message. This helps avoid any issues before you actually begin authorizing content into this new workflow. Once you are happy with all settings, please save the configuration of the translation step. If you would like to use only machine translation without any human editing or other workflow steps, you're all set. This workflow can now be selected when you authorize content for translation. By default, when using a one-step workflow with machine translation only, the translations will not be saved to your translation memory. Even if you're using just a one-step workflow for machine translation, the translation output gets post-processed and optimized automatically with Smartling's Language AI solution. During the machine translation process, HTML tags and white spaces are often broken or placed incorrectly by the MT engine, which may impact the formatting and functionality of your translations. Smartling's intelligent post-processing solution helps restore tags and reduce any incorrect spacing. This can help significantly increase the usability of machine translations, even without any human editing. For more extensive post-editing, machine translation can be combined with a post-translation step for human editing. This type of workflow is often referred to as MTPE or machine translation post-editing. Human linguists are able to ensure that the translation output sounds idiomatic and natural in the target language, and that it follows any specific preferences that you may have. To configure MTPE, simply add a workflow step after the machine translation step that you just created. The most common step type used for MTPE is post-edit. With this step type, translations will only be saved to your translation memory if the human editor actually makes some changes to the machine translations. Alternatively, if you prefer for all published translations to be saved to your translation memory, even if the human editor made no changes, you can choose an edit or review step instead. Depending on your preferences and your translation vendor's requirements, you can configure additional settings, such as content assignment or claiming. You will now need to assign your translation vendor to this post-edit step. From the Team Hub, please give all relevant agencies or users access to this workflow step, so they will be able to edit machine translations for their language pair. Smartling Language Services offers an AI-enhanced alternative to classic MTPE, which is fully configured for the best translation results. Our AI-powered human translation workflow is a hybrid solution that intelligently selects the best available base translation by combining AI-enhanced translation memory matches with a selection of MT engines. The translations are not only post-processed by Smartling's language AI platform, but also reviewed by expert human linguists to ensure a high-quality output. Of course, AI-powered human translation can also be used in addition to other workflows and MT profiles. For ad hoc translations, you may prefer a simple portal that allows you to instantly translate files or text snippets. As an alternative to the regular translation management system, Smartling Translate provides a quick and secure platform to drag and drop files or to paste text snippets for machine translation. Your content gets translated by your preferred MT profile without the need to configure any projects or workflows. AI-powered prompts allow you to tweak the source text as well as the translation output to achieve the desired results. Translations completed in Smartling Translate are not uploaded to the TMS or saved to your translation memory, making it an ideal solution for ad hoc translations. If you would like to use Smartling Translate or get more detailed information, please reach out to your Smartling Customer Success Manager. Once Smartling Translate has been activated, you can, of course, choose your preferred MT profile. To do so, please access the Machine Translation settings and navigate to the Smartling Translate tab. Ensure that machine translation is enabled and select your preferred MT profile. The selected profile will then be used for all translations with Smartling Translate. Some integrations offer the option to machine translate content directly where it is displayed, without uploading it to the Smartling platform or using an actual workflow. You can choose your preferred MT profile for each of these integrations directly from your account-wide machine translation settings. Let's take a look at some of the available integrations. If you are using Smartling's global delivery network to translate your website, you have the option to display machine translations across your entire site until the final translations are ready. This helps create a more seamless experience for your target audience and reduces the risk of untranslated content showing up on your localized website. Once your website content has been ingested into the Smartling platform and has gone through your regular translation workflow, the machine translations are automatically replaced with the final translations delivered by your translation vendor. If you're using Zendesk to provide customer support, Smartling's Zendesk Support plugin allows you to instantly translate tickets into your customer's native language. The plugin allows your customer services team to read tickets which were created in a different language and to provide multilingual support to your global customer base. For full flexibility, you can use Smartling's Machine Translation API to integrate your machine translation profile with other platforms or tools used by your organization. Smartling's API endpoints for machine translation are publicly available, allowing you to embed machine translation into your existing processes and to retrieve translations directly where they are needed. For detailed information about machine translation in Smartling and all available settings and applications, please visit our Help Center or reach out to your Customer Success Manager. Thank you very much for watching and for your time today.